Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. We will be talking about AI-driven training and onboarding. What we will actually do today is we will give you a lot of information about our new functionality, the new release, our User Adoption Center for IFS. Again, welcome. Happy to have you here today, and you could make it. I will be your host together with my colleague Peter. Hey, Peter, thanks for joining.
Hey, Aaron, thank you so much for having me. It's a joy.
Nice to have you, exactly. So to kick off, I will give you a little bit of information who we are. And then moving forward, I will provide you some theoretical details. We are today helping around 375 customers, IFS customers, those being any size of organization, any location where IFS is present, and also any industry. We have our headquarters here in Copenhagen in Denmark. We have an office in US in Florida and also an office in India. When it comes to our mission, it's very simple and straightforward. It's making you IFS customers more successful with IFS technologies. Before we move to the new release and talking about the User Adoption Center, I wanted to give you a little bit information of what we have been delivering so far and how we've been helping IFS customers to enhance user onboarding experience and productivity. And when we will be introducing those, what we will be focusing obviously is about the end user experience and what the end users has been getting so far from ClickLearn and how it was actually possible to onboard users until now, adding on top of this the discussion about the User Adoption Center. So when we talk about the end user productivity and onboarding, we will be, of course, focusing on the different learning formats we've been delivering so far, and there were 7 in total. So we have the common formats like Word, PowerPoint, PDF. There is also a web page with the hyperlinks to the training materials. Those formats are common. We've been using them for years, and we are very familiar with those. They have their own advantages, and they are probably also very attractive in certain situations. For example, when we look at the PowerPoint, this being very handy in classroom training scenario, where the trainer wants to visualize the whole process, potentially go through this step by step, either being in a online training session, but also in a face-to-face training. On top of those common formats, there are also different training videos for the onboarding of end users. There are 3 types of videos, and the advantage of those videos is that they can be translated into multiple languages automatically. They can be computer narrated in the local language automatically as well, and 2 of those are interactive. When we look at the videos, the first one is the Show Me video. This video simply explains the process. It doesn't require the end user to interact with it. It's a go through the process and understand and learn, potentially listen to it and watch it only. The Try Me video, on the other hand, is very interesting because this video requires the user to interact in order to proceed. It's a kind of a safe sandbox environment, very much live application lookalike video, where the end user can try out the process without the danger of changing something in the application itself. And the last video is the Test Me video. This video requires the user to complete the process while simply being measured and tested. At the end of this video, the end user will get a score, a rating, and they will understand if they passed a specific mark that the organization can set, and simply know if they are ready to move to the live environment and work in the application, or maybe need a little bit more training and practice and exercise. Those formats are SCORM compliant. So if you have a learning management system in your organization, you can easily use the files generated, those different videos and formats, and embed them to your learning management system. When we also look at the next step and the next format, this is the Live Assistant. We deliver on-screen guidance directly inside IFS. So whenever the end user is not able to complete a process, they can simply activate this little avatar, which will help them and guide them step by step inside the live application, inside IFS. This is, of course, great help because the end user doesn't need to ask a colleague for help. They don't need to call help desk. They don't even need to read a manual to complete this process. The final detail about the end user is also how do you make it easy for them to get access? How do you make those different learning formats available and accessible? And you will see also during our demonstration today that you can simply build a learning portal that you can then deliver to your end users for easy access to the different learning formats. I'll hand over to Peter now. Peter, could you please show us those shortly how those 7 learning formats and a portal looks like?
Yes, I sure can. Let me just share my screen here quickly. Share screen. And there we go. Hopefully you can see my screen now.
No, not yet.
No. Let's see if we can do it here this way. There we go. See my screen now? Brilliant. So this is an example of a learning portal as you just described. And exactly like that, we can customize everything that we're viewing in here. You can put up your own logos, you can add in your own font styles, you can add in the text and the colors, and of course your own icons. If we navigate into a process, you have different sections you can navigate through. And as you enter a process or the recording, as we talked about, then you get everything described in here. Click on here, it delivers the HTML page, as you can see, where we have the actions that we're doing inside the application. We mark up the area of interest and show exactly in a zoomed in pan that this is actually what we're focusing on and where we're navigating it. Actions that we're doing inside the application. We mark up the area of interest and show exactly in a zoomed in pan that this is actually what we're focusing on and where we're navigating it. The HTML, the Word, and the PDF, they will have the same look and feel where you have a cropped area, where you're zooming in and you're looking at that specific area of interest. Now, the Word and the PDF, they're also controlled by a Word template. So that means that you can completely customize what you have of metadata in the top header. So I've set mine up with my emails. I've added it in so that, the email of the author. I've set it up so we have the date of creation, we have the title of the recording, and then, of course, my organization name, and then the logo that I added into my entire learning portal. Word and PDF, they will, of course, look completely alike. It will just be a matter of different format. And then we have as you mentioned yourself, the PowerPoint presentation. This is mostly for social learning. So this is where we can go in and have a glance at how would you actually do this process. Typically, when we are in a social learning environment, that means either on Teams or in a meeting room or whatever meeting application you're using, well, then we typically want to see a full screen size. So in this way here, instead of us looking at an application, navigating around, we know exactly this is what we want to look at. We got the instruction in the bottom part, and we got the area of interest where we can easily see how to do the different steps in here. So these are the 4 different types of written instructions: the HTML, the Word, the PDF, and of course the PowerPoint, as you mentioned. And then we have exactly the 3 videos. So the first video up here, this is a show me. This is going to be very similar, as you said, to a YouTube video.
Objective. Use this guide to update the details on a company in IFS Cloud. Navigate to Application-Based Setup, Enterprise Company, Companies. Click on the grid command cell. Click on the link details. Click on the field name, update the name.
There we go. As you can see, the cursor is moving seamlessly through all of the steps, showing us exactly where to click. And I even activated the red rectangle that you saw from the HTML page and the other written formats. That can, of course, also be deactivated. But in my opinion, it makes it very nice that you actually see this is where we're about to go. This is what we're going to focus on. And then you see the cursor moving to exactly that point. So easy way to do it. We also have, as you can hear, a digital voice narrating out all the instructions. So that means one thing is it's going to narrate everything that you get auto-created by clicking on. So as you navigate through a process, we translate the steps that you do into an action, and then that will be narrated. But also if you add any additional value, your own manually inputs and thoughts to the process, that will of course also be narrated by these voices. And we have well over 1,000 voices covering well over 50 different languages, major dialects to the different languages, and also male and female voices. So there is a large variety to choose between. At the end of our video, and also at the end of the HTML page and at the end of the Try Me video, we have this feedback option where you go in and give a rating, and you can add a comment. So if you're an end user, you have the ability to actually either ask a question regarding the process you just went through, or it could be that you have a comment to what you're looking at. Now, these things will be directly captured inside our analytics that Aaron also mentioned, where we can gather some information about how your end users are using the learning content you're delivering. And this is where you can then shorten the distance between the ones that are using the content and learning from the material to the ones that are actually creating it and adding value. The second video, as you said, this is the interesting one, and definitely also my favorite.
Objective.
It will have the same. It will have the same narration. So I'll just turn off the voice here. Now the difference is it's giving me control of the cursor instead of it being showing me where to go. At the same time, I now need to go over here and perform the task because it's no longer progressing to the next step. So I need to go in here and click on that particular step. If I click somewhere else, it won't progress because these are the steps we want the end user to know and want them to perform to do this particular process. So it's not interesting for them to click anywhere else. So if you're kinesthetic in the way of learning, where you want to go in and kind of get it under the skin and understand the process that you're doing, I am kinesthetic, so I can also say I'm probably not the one that reads the most manuals. I typically just dive directly in there. That can cause some annoying support tickets, but it can also tamper with some valuable data that we then need to figure out how to restore. By giving this option, then a kinesthetic person can actually navigate through it, see the next page, understand the next table, what we're going through. And then when they go to the live system, they have an idea about when I'm going to go in and edit a company, I need to navigate through these notes. I need to find these particular submenus, and this is what it's going to look. So when I go to the correct place, I will actually know what I'm searching for and where I'm going. So in that way, and you get the muscle memory also. So it's without doubt my favorite video. And then, as you mentioned, Aaron, the test me, of course, to
Objective.
Yeah, that's going to run on the same simulation as before. It's going to give me control of the cursor. It's going to have the narration and the written instructions in the bottom part as subtitles. That can actually be turned off for all test me videos. So if you want to make a test me video where it is that, well, I want to see that you actually can do that, and you're not going to get any help by narration or written instructions. You simply just need to perform it. That is actually possible when we're doing these types of tests here. If you do that, then now I need to know where to go. Have I not paid attention, I will click around here and say, you got to be somewhere I need to go. Eventually, it will give me the marking of the area of interest and, of course, go me wrong in my test. If I do a single misclick here, and then we go to the final step, then you can see that where it needed to show me where to go, gave me 0 out of 5. Where I did a single click wrong, it gave me 4 out of 5. So in this here, I set it up with 5 attempts and with an 80% passing grade. And this is also, as you mentioned, Aaron, this is where we can go in and configure it so that you can have the amount of attempts that you want to deliver to your end users in. You need to have understood it within 2 steps or 3, whatever it is. At the same time, the passing grade that I set for 80% here, that could easily be moved up or down depending on what your internal what it is that you actually think would be the correct way of passing or not passing a test. I also saw in your slide there, Aaron, that you talked about that this is SCORM compliant. That is completely true. If you're using a learning management system, you can either deliver all 7 formats, pretty much as you see it here in the learning portal, with the 3 different types, or 4 different types of downloads, and of course the 3 different types of videos. You can also deliver it with just 1 video, and you can even use the test me as a pre-built for any test scenario you want to do in the LMS, so that you simply just walk through the test me, and then the score from that will be what the LMS would register for passing or failing in that scenario. We, of course, are delivering these 7 formats because we know people are learning differently. So some people like a white paper that you can see here. Some people like a YouTube type of video where you get the narration stimulated by what you're viewing, and it kind of guides you through it. Another, they like, as me, to actually be able to click through the steps and understand what is that we're doing and get a narration of it. So because we also understand that this is the way that you want to learn, we also know that since we are in a cultural industry world now. That means that we are, of course, also having many different languages in our organization. So typically delivering just one in English is not enough, because we do definitely learn better when we learn in our own native language. But ClickLearn, when you record the process, we have a feature where we can replay the process on another UI. That means in this case here, I have everything in English, but I actually took this process here and then I replayed it into French. I had ClickLearn do an auto translation. So that means when we replay it, it of course captures whatever is from the IFS application, but anything that I put in manually needs to be translated. I myself is not that well at French, so what I did was use the auto translation and have ClickLearn do that for me. That gives me a little globus up here, so I'm still delivering just one URL to my end users, and then they can choose between the formats and, of course, also the languages that you provided. So in this case here, where we did it in French, you can see my learning portal is completely in French. If I navigate into where we were before, you see how horrible I am at French here. And you go into a process, well, then you can see that we have all of the different steps we're navigating through. We have everything that I've done, and we can easily see how do we do this. Now, because we're using digital voices, that means that when I go into a video,
Utilisez ce guide pour mettre à jour les informations de votre compte.
there we go. So the voices will, of course, translate everything that we're looking at, and I now have a French narrated video in my instruction. So that's the idea with ClickLearn. We want to deliver you an easy way to find whatever you're looking for. That we can do by the search up here. So that means if I say account, then I will get, in this case here, I just put in 3 letters, but that will give me suggestions to what word could I be looking for. And at the same time, references to what do we have of recordings that relate to, for instance, account. So if I say account details, it takes me into that particular recording. So it's an easy way to find it. I get the 7 formats to understand it, choose the format that I like, and I can even get a globus to choose between the languages that will help me understand the process better. So that's a little bit about the learning portal and the learning formats that you just provide us with.
Thanks a lot, Peter. That was really very interesting. Now we've seen 7 learning formats. We've seen how an end user can be onboarded, the different videos, the translations, and also the different formats like Word, PowerPoint, and PDF. So let's move to the next part, to the new functionality that we just released for our IFS customers. Quickly sharing my screen again, and just give you a little bit of background information. 2 slides just. So the User Adoption Center for IFS, we are very happy. We just released this functionality and going to be rolling out to our existing IFS customers, but also, of course, to our new and potential customers. This will be available moving forward. The User Adoption Center is actually a panel, a side panel that is kind of working on top of IFS directly inside the application. And this is AI-powered assistance that will change how you train, how you guide, and how you support your end users while they work at their flow of work, actually. Now, there are 3 different elements to the User Adoption Center. The first one is the contextual in-app guidance. So we weren't able to deliver this contextuality before, but now this is available. So the technology understands where the user is, the technology understands what part of the process and the application they are working, and will provide them guidance to complete their task 100% correctly. Directly related to this in-app guidance, they will also have access to the video related to this specific process immediately inside the User Adoption Center. The other element is the chat functionality. So the AI chat can deliver instant answers to the end users. They can ask questions, and the answers might be related to simply to the IFS processes and the recordings within ClickLearn related to IFS and the application. But these answers can be also related to questions about internal policies, details that you want to share and deliver to your end users that you have already recorded and have actually available. This could be a Word document, a policy as a Word document, a PowerPoint, a PDF. You can also link external resources, meaning that people can potentially get answers around details that are government-related, policies-related as well. And the final detail is the notification center. You are able to push personalized or company general notifications update people about important changes in your environment, in the application, or, for example, new releases inside IFS itself. When we talk about the User Adoption Center, the question would be, why is it so interesting and important? And there are a couple of elements that are very, very critical. The first part and benefit is that it will improve user adoption and productivity. It will increase productivity very early, more or less from day one. IFS end users can start using the application immediately, and they will guide it and help to complete the processes as those need to be completed. It will reduce time and cost for training and onboarding. This will be instant. So basically, again, going back to the idea that they will be productive and able to utilize IFS more or less from day one. And the final one is you will have consistency in the knowledge and always have your users updated about what's happened in the environment, what has changed, and what has been potentially released. So let's move on to the next part, Peter. Please show us how the User Adoption Center works and all the necessary interesting details about this functionality.
Sure, let me just share my screen here again, and then hopefully it won't be that difficult as it was last time. There we go. So if we go into the center here. So this was our learning pool. Now the User Adoption Center is actually that easy that if you take the URL that you have here, add it to an extension, you get a little button. This little button will now allow you to get the User Adoption Center. In here, you can see that we, of course, have the ability to add in different information that I want to go through. And we will, at the same time, also look at what user are we working with. So in this case here, David Boyle, what roles does he have within the application of IFS? So what should he get of context of recordings that relates to him? Now, in this particular case, I have just some previews where it's a little bit of a walk of a tour. That means, for instance, welcome as a maintenance engineer. I can start the tour. When I start the tour, that will give me a video, as you can see here, that I can see. After the video, there will come we can start the video. It will be a nice video.
First up,
if I scroll through that video, it will start showing me what it is that I need to be aware of. And as I navigate through the different steps, it will completely take me a tour through it. So this is one way of teaching your end users and combining video together with on-screen views of how do you actually navigate through some of the neat things that you need to be aware of with the role of a maintenance engineer. Another one is that if I, for instance, navigate into human capital management here, well then David, my friend up here, he actually has some different recordings that is relating to his roles within IFS. So instantly you can see, well, what is new in IFS in HCM? There will be a little bit about absence, etc. And at the same time, you can go in here and see, well, what is new? Well, what is new is that we have first of all, the 2 videos we created in here, the tours, and then we also have a little bit about what is new in IFS Cloud HCM. And you can see how that goes. Another thing is that if I want to see a process, then I can click on a step in here, welcome maintenance engineer. It will show me the different steps we're going through. And I can even go in here and say, well, by the way, how do I navigate to a particular point? And then it will take me there. It could also be that I say at this very moment, I want you to know how to create a absence request. It will, in this case here, allow me to get that on-screen guidance. As I navigate through the step here on the screen, it will scratch out the steps so I always know where am I within the process that we're navigating through in this particular part. What I can also do in here is that I can see a video. So that means that I'm not leaving the application.
Before taking time off, you need approval from your manager. The first step is to create a leave request. Your manager will be notified and either approve or delete the request. You need to navigate to Human Capital Management, Manager Services, Time and Attendance, Absence Calendar. Before taking time off, you need to navigate to Human Capital Management, Manager Services, Time and Attendance, Absence Calendar.
There we go. So you can see how you will always get suggestions to what it is, wherever you are within the application, what is it that would be important for you at this particular part? what do you have of new information in there, and also if you've added additional information in here. So for instance, my CEO likes to make some videos once in a while, and we would like to get that information out where the employees are working. So instead of putting it out to different internal storage places or whatever, then I can actually have it available directly here. So when I see here news from Joachim Scheimager, my CEO, instantly I will get a list of different recordings that are related to Joachim. So I can see here the state of digital adoption. If I click on that one, it will give me the video, and I can now view this particular video with him. We also have our supporter, Morten. He's created a YouTube channel, so I did the same thing where I actually added in a YouTube trawler and then said, well, anything that has to do with Morten's Corner, I would like to get added in here. So every time he pushes a new video, I will get an update about what is really needed in here. And I can, again, like you saw before, see a video directly where I'm working, turn it off, and then I can continue my work. We can also add in additional insightfulness, as I call this particular part down here. That gives me the ability to go in and see anything that I have of PDF files. And that can be a longer library that you have, but if you have something where you say, this is something that could help my end user, then I can easily go in here and it will show me the PDF that I want to read. And of course, I've never left the application. I'm still where I wanted to work. So it's a very, very neat way to get guidance and see the processes and get news internally directly where you're working. And exactly as we talked about before, it's just going to be up here. So if I don't want to have it available right now, just close it, turn it on, it's back in there giving me the information. So of course, we've had a look at how do we get trained and how do I perform a specific process and get guidance on top of the screen here with the User Adoption Center. But sometimes you come into a part where it says, could you please report your absence, set up something in there. You may not completely know where it is, and then typically we turn into a coworker and do a shoulder tapping, ask them, how do I do this? Well, with ClickLearn, we added in the chat, as Aaron also mentioned. That means I can go in here and say, how do I report absence? By clicking on the there, then ClickLearn AI chat will now go in and look at the content that I have available of recordings. And if I had uploaded a specific HTML page, specific PDF files about it, then I will get that available in here. So here it says, well, to report an absence, please follow the structured procedure outlined below. And then it tells me how to do that. At the same time, it gives me a source. So if I want to say, well, how do I create this? Then I can click on this particular source. There we go. I get my recording available, and I can now click on the assistant, and the assistant will help me navigate through it so I actually get to perform this particular task that was asked or required of me to do. So it's a very, very easy way for you to find your information, to be guided. And even if you don't know exactly that this is an absent request, but you say, how do I report absence? Well, then it will allow you to add that in there. You also mentioned something about notifications. Well, we have some different ways. Now, imagine you from IT have some information you want to send out to all your end users. A lot of times we can send out an email, and some users may not start an email. They know exactly where they want to go, so they're going to jump directly into the application and start working from there. Now, that will give us some delay in getting information. Now, we know everybody is, during the day, actually going to go in and perform information or add in things to our application. So why not just deliver the information right there? Well, if I, in this particular case, go in and I update my center, my application. So let's imagine I'm just coming new into IFS Cloud. Instantly, ClickLearn will now find out that I am in here. The user experience panel, that will now load, and I will get a notification saying, oh, by the way, here's an update from the system maintenance. We'll try to limit it for the weekend. However, there can be some occurrence for Monday. That means instantly I get the information. Now, when I turn this one off, then I get into everything where I want to do, and I can now get away. And at the same time, it reports back to the authors that I actually saw this particular message, and next time that I'm opening, it won't be appearing because I actually saw it. We can also do it as what we call a subtle notification. That means that you won't be able to get any help from the learning, from the user adoption center before you read that particular one, or it can be that you get a notification out here. So there's 3 different ways of delivering notifications to end users. But this is actually how you can very easily deliver your learning portal directly where your end users are working and give them the option to actually get information available that is related only to them and their role where they are within the application.
That's great. Thank you very much, Peter. Really exciting functionality. We believe this is going to be game-changing, and it will be really very helpful for every and each IFS customer organization. Just to wrap up the demonstration webinar today, I just wanted to provide you some final information about the benefits of ClickLearn, of what we've been presenting today, capturing more or less all the details. So when we look at the benefits for the users, they will be able to adopt, learn, and master IFS technology much faster. And there are 3 reasons. One of those is that we do support any learning style. The end user can decide how they would like to consume and learn the details. They could potentially refer to a Word document, download a PDF. Trainers could basically use the PowerPoints. On top of this, they could, for example, watch a video, do the try me, or test themselves with the test me video. This also allows them to consume and refer to these different versions at the point of need. We might have some people that just joined in a specific organization. Maybe they never used IFS technologies before. They will have the time to learn through the videos. They might want again to download some of the documents. But there are some people that have been around in the organizations for a long time. They know IFS technology, but they might want to refer to a very specific element-specific process, and they might need to do this very quickly at the moment of work. And in this case, obviously, the Life Assistant and the User Adoption Center will be very, very helpful. All the instructions are uniform. They will always have the very same look and feel for the end user, and as they are templated, and the end user will easily find the information because there is no differences between the styles and the formats they will be getting. And as mentioned, the in-app guidance is very important. The in-app guidance will guide the user inside the application and make sure that they can complete the process 100% correctly. So that was all from us today. To give you an idea what the potential next step could be, we do deliver free trial licenses. If you would like to experience what you have seen today, work on the different learning formats like generate Word documents, generate PDFs and PowerPoints. On top of this, experience the User Adoption Center, set it up in your environment, try it out and see how it works. We will gladly assist you. There is also a free training session attached to this license, which will give you also an experience how it is to work with our team, with the customer success team as such. So that was all from us. Thank you very much for joining. Peter, thank you very much for these insights and all the details that you have delivered today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Aaron, for having me.
All the best, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.